So we're coming up here very quickly on New Year's Day. And a lot of people for New Year's come up with a New Year's resolution of something that they want to do to improve their life over the coming year. Have you ever done this? What usually happens? Maybe it's you want to work out 3 times a week, or you want to write in your diary every day, or whatever it is to improve your life. What usually happens? The first week you do it perfectly. The second week you miss a day, but that's okay. You keep going. Third week you miss 2 days, and by the fourth week you forgot about your resolution completely.
Oh goodness, haven't we all? Oh.
Yeah. Well, hey everybody, I'm Bill.
And I'm Elizabeth. Live simple.
Live free. And so what are we talking about here? Why is it that you make a resolution and you don't follow through with it? All of us have done this.
Everybody does it.
Why is that? It's something that many people consider a bad word, okay?
Yes.
And the word is discipline.
Yep.
Discipline. And it's something that I fought against for many years in different aspects of my life. But what I have discovered is that a disciplined life is a happier life and a less stressful life.
Yes. In a lot of ways, despite what somebody might think, it's freer.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly more peace. That is for sure.
Yeah. And a disciplined life is a much more efficient life.
Yes.
And it's a much more productive life.
Yes.
An undisciplined life, on the other hand, can be very stressful.
Yes. Lots of bad surprises along the way. It just tends to be chaos. I had to laugh one time because someone told me that if you got too much chaos, then it's the can't have anybody over syndrome. Chaos. But yeah, it can be very chaotic.
And an undisciplined life is many times unproductive and inefficient.
Yeah.
People have goals and they just never accomplish those goals because they're not disciplined enough to go towards those goals.
And it creates so much frustration.
So let's talk a little bit about discipline and how incredible it is when you can actually have discipline in your life. And then we'll talk a little bit about maybe how to improve the discipline in your life. And I'm going to give you a couple of tools that I just discovered that are really helping me.
Yeah.
And
this is a journey we're on too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, one of the things that we mentioned is that a disciplined life is actually a happier and freer life. Let's talk about the budget. For many years, she would say, we really need to get on a budget, and I would give her lip service. Yeah, that's a good idea, and then we'd never do it.
He was actually really resistant. It was uncomfortable for him.
It felt very restrictive to me. Like then I wouldn't be able to just go and buy what I want. Well, that's kind of the point.
Yep.
But then in the crash of '08, if you followed our story, you know this. We lost everything. We lost our business. We lost several homes, rental properties that we owned. We ended up on an extremely tight income. And the only way to even pay our bills was to budget. So we went to budgeting out of necessity.
Yay!
That was many years ago, and we've been budgeting ever since. And here's what I've discovered. The discipline of following a budget is actually freeing because now we save a certain amount of money for different things. We know how much we have. We know how much we don't have.
Yes.
We know whether it's okay to spend money. And when we do it because we've got budgeted for it, maybe we've saved for a couple months, we can do it guilt-free, worry-free, because we know the money is there to cover it.
Yes, absolutely. It is such a wonderful feeling to know that if there's something I really need to go get, I am not going to have to rob something else that should be paid. Everything is set aside so that we know we have the money for what we must pay for. And so it's a much more freeing feeling to know that, hey, you know what? It's not going to cause any problems if I need to spend this money on something here, We learned, and we've really, really realized the truth of this, that within that, the discipline of budgeting is to really know that you can't outgive God. And so he has come first as far as tithing, and there's always, one way or another, God has always worked it out, and we have what we need, with sometimes some amazing blessings along the way. And it is so freeing, especially for me, because I'm the fussy one in the couple, in terms of, I wouldn't spend money unless I was comfortable about it, even to go buy socks. And so I have a lot more freedom now to go pick up something if I need it. And anyway, so we just don't have the worry hanging over our head of, oh my goodness, can we pay this bill?
And that only happens when we have the discipline to actually not only make a budget, but stick to it. So
that's the key.
Yeah.
And in light of all of this too, when you've got the money ahead, when taxes come up, when all sorts of like periodic bills come up, and you can pay it, and maybe even get one of the things where they give you a little bit of a break on the cost, because you can do it early, but you're not looking at penalties and late fees and all that. So things end up costing less in some ways, because I pay for it before they start tacking on all the extra stuff. So makes this person very happy to have my little ducks all in a row.
And then there's Pepper.
And then there's Pepper.
Our dog.
Yes.
We no longer have her. She was with us for 17 years?
17 and a half years. She was a blue heeler border collie mix that we actually rescued. Seriously, a neighbor had gotten her as a small puppy and were abusing her. And I went over and I said, if you don't want her, please, I'll take her. And they just happily let me have her. She was a little bitty thing, but what a neat dog.
So we would take her for a walk in the park. And we would see other dog owners there with a dog or two on the leash, and the dogs were pulling and straining, and the people walking the dogs were constantly trying to pull them back, yelling at them, shouting at them. It didn't look like a enjoyable experience to me at all, walking dogs that are dragging you behind them.
Right.
Pepper, on the other hand, well, she wasn't big enough to drag us, but she still could have been uncomfortable.
She was about 55 pounds.
Pulling all the time.
Yeah.
We took her to obedience training when she was very young.
At 6 months, they do it.
And because of that, she was very disciplined. It was actually freeing for her. These other dogs wanted to go and wanted to run, and the owner couldn't let them off of the leash because they'd never come back.
Yeah.
Pepper was disciplined. We know that if we say, Pepper, come, heel, she would be right there next to us.
Yes.
So because of that, we were free to let her roam. We could let her off leash. If anything came up, even if there were other dogs that were, threatening her or anything like that, we'd just say heel, and she'd come right here. We'd put her back on the leash, and everything would be good.
I mean, we had like paths through the woods and stuff that we could take, and we knew that she would listen. She'd stay with us. I could walk with her, because if she started going too fast, I could say slow, and she would slow down. One of the things that was a real joy was it was okay for her to go with us if we went down to do shopping or go on errands. I could leave windows down and tell her to stay. She would not accost people. She would never leave the car. So does that remind you of there is a story that we heard that was the cutest thing. This guy had a couple of gorgeous young black labs. I love black labs. And he had a pickup truck. And so he pulled up and went in to do some errands at the hardware store, told the dogs to stay in the back of that pickup. So he came back out, and there was the two dogs sitting in the back of the pickup, just smiling, looking like, aren't we so good? Trouble is, they jumped back into the wrong pickup truck. And so he's like, you guys are busted. But yeah, Pepper was a joy, because really the obedience school trained us on how to work with her, but she had so much freedom, because I knew that I could that she would listen to me, and it set her free in a lot of ways. Where we live, just like now, there were wild animals around, and bears and stuff, and I had to know that if she was out just romping around, we were having fun in the woods, that if I called her, she'd come. So yeah, it was freeing.
So for Pepper, because she was disciplined, she was free. We could let her roam. She was free.
Yeah.
Another area that discipline makes a huge difference is for anyone who is self-employed, because you don't have to go to work if you don't want to.
That's right.
But you know that if you don't, you are not going to earn any money.
Yeah.
For me, I was self-employed for many years as a contractor. Now I'm self-employed as a YouTube creator.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of discipline, believe me, for us to come up with consistent videos week after week after week. Now, we love it,
Yes.
but it still takes discipline.
Well, and if we don't make sure it happens, it doesn't happen.
Right.
That's right.
And also, of course, with our Thrive Life business, it takes discipline for me to get up every morning and look at the computer and answer questions from customers and different things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyone who's self-employed, you are in control of your own schedule. If you don't have discipline, it ain't going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen.
And so a disciplined life in a self-employed situation can be a very productive life, and you can do amazing things in business. But if you try to go into some kind of a self-employed business that you own or whatever, and you're not disciplined, it's going to be very unproductive and inefficient and probably will fail.
I tell you what, I learned a lot of things when I would have 65, 70 students to teach every week. Keeping track of not only their lessons and what they needed and materials they needed, but just the bookkeeping involved, keeping track of who's had what lessons and who had paid for them. He set up a spreadsheet for me, which was really helpful, but I had to stay on top of it, or I would have been letting a lot of people down, and it's just not going to work if that happens. And you know what? I don't care what my excuses would have been. But if my student comes there and wants a lesson and I'm not there, that's not cool. In other words, you have to be on time. So there's just a lot of things that make things work better if you can be faithful to what needs to be done. It's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then an undisciplined life, on the other hand, like we mentioned, is a life full of chaos. You just go here, you go there, you go everywhere because you're not focused. Mm-hmm. It's can be a life of stress because you know things that you need to get done, but you just don't have the discipline to accomplish it.
Well, in fact, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What is it that causes stress?
Yeah. I was just thinking
Is that where you were just going?
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry. If a person's busy and they know they may have to, light the fire a little bit to get things done, that's not stressful as long as you can just keep going. But when you feel like there's expectations on you that you're not sure you can meet or that you're unable to meet, that is like the sheer definition of stress.
Yeah. Stress happens, like she said, if you have an expectation that you can't meet, and there's one or two reasons. Either you're not capable of meeting it, or you don't have enough time. You have a time deadline and you don't have enough time. That's what causes stress. And an undisciplined life can cause stress, especially if you put things off and then you have a deadline for a school paper or a deadline for your tax return or something that. And you put it off so much that now you don't have time to finish. That can be a huge stress.
Right. I mean, goodness, haven't we all learned that with school? Oh, my goodness, yeah.
An undisciplined life can be very unproductive life. You have goals in your life that you really want to accomplish and you never quite get them done because you're not efficient enough to be able to do that. It can be a very inefficient life because you're not focused in one thing. You go here and there and there and there, and you just don't zero in on what needs to be done and have the discipline to do it.
Yeah, and to do it when the steps are small and you can get it done before there's so much pressure and all of a sudden there's something that must be done like immediately and you're not sure you're going to be able to.
Right.
Examples, your in-laws are coming for dinner and a week ahead of time. And so, just kind of planning things out a little bit, knowing how you're going to have the house ready, because we all know that we dust our plant leaves, for certain company. Is the food going to be ready? And if procrastination kicks in, and everything gets put off to the last minute, then it is so stressful trying to feel like that you're ready. It just takes all the fun out of it. It really does. Procrastination is such a mean thing to us. It is.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But, the main thing about goals is if you set a goal, you have to have the discipline to get there or it'll never happen. I'm a musician. Been a musician all my life. I play many instruments.
Yeah, he does. Me too.
And I've mentioned this on the channel before. I was a trombone player in the Army Band for 24 years. In order to get there, I had to be good enough on the trombone to pass the initial audition to get in. So how did I get good enough? Discipline to practice. It was only through many, many hours of practice when I was younger that I learned to play well enough to pass that audition. And as a result, I spent 24 years as a professional trombone player. Mm-hmm. Now, I watch people on YouTube and Instagram and different places like that. Oh, I also play guitar and bass guitar, but I watch people on YouTube and stuff who are far better than I am. And I look at that and it's like, man, I wish I could play like that. I really do. I really wish I could play like that. But it takes many, many hours of discipline. And at this point in my life, I just don't have the discipline that it takes to improve that much more. Because the better you get, the more time it takes to bring a small incremental improvement.
Yeah. Well, and to some extent at this point in our life, just having the time and the energy for that kind of a goal. But it takes step by step by step.
So do you have something in your life that you like to do, some hobby like music, or maybe you like ice skating, figure skating, or gymnastics or something like that, and you look at, world-class Olympic skaters and Olympic gymnasts, how do you think they got to that level?
Oh, yeah.
Many of them by practicing 8 or 10 hours a day every single day. They had the discipline because they had the goal set in mind. Most of us don't have that kind of discipline.
A concert pianist said one time, this was an absolute quote, and I'd like to tell you who exactly it was, but I honestly don't remember anymore. But he said that he toured playing the concert piano, and he said that if he missed one day of practice, he would be able to really tell the difference. If he missed 2 days of practice, his manager would be able to tell the difference. He said, if I miss 3 days of practice, my audience will tell the difference. To keep himself honed to that level, he just knew it required putting in the time. If you think about it, there is one word, there's one thing that I think influences the course of our life. I mean, I'm not talking about our faith in the Lord or, that's by far the most important. But just in terms of a concept, I think there's one word that describes something that affects our life probably more than anything else. And that word is habit. What are our habits? What do we do just as a regular basis of what we do, how we respond to things, what we put time into? The good habits lead you to good places, and bad habits can create an awful lot of frustration. I mean, as much as we don't want to have to face that, it's just true.
Absolutely. And that's an excellent segue into the next thing I want to talk about, but I'm not ready to go there yet.
Okay, well, I just remember that would have been a good segue.
Habits. How to break bad habits and how to develop good habits. I'll talk about that in a minute. But first I want to talk about a new friend that I just recently met. Her name is Mariah Prussia, and I'm really impressed with this woman. She is a champion MMA fighter, which is mixed martial arts. She's hard body. She's amazing. And she is a motivational speaker. She travels all over the country speaking. She teaches women's self-defense classes. She owns a whole line of gyms where they teach martial arts. She's really an impressive woman. Oh, and she won the 2020 Mother of the Year award in North Dakota, where she lives.
That's really cool. Nice lady.
Here's this hard-body martial arts fighter, and she wins the Mother of the Year award for the entire state. Really cool. Anyway, the reason I bring her up is that a lot of what she teaches is about discipline and living a better life and that sort of thing. And one of the things she says is, excuses make today easy, but they make tomorrow hard. Discipline makes today hard, but it makes tomorrow easy.
Yeah.
If you have the discipline to do it today, it'll make tomorrow easier and better and more efficient and more productive.
Yeah.
So
did you say her name?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mariah Prussia.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can look her up if you want. She's an amazing woman. So, habits. Good habits, bad habits. How do you develop good habits? How do you break bad habits? Well, I recently found a tool. It's an app. Actually, Barry told me about it. That's really amazing, and I've been using it for a while, and I really like it. The app is called Days Since, and it was designed originally for people who were trying to break addictive habits like alcohol or drugs or smoking or something like that. Alcoholics Anonymous kind of thing. And what you do is If you're trying to break a habit like drinking alcohol, every time you do drink, you put it in there into the app as I drank this day, and then it'll tell you how many days since the last time I drank. And it really is an amazing thing, because you think you're doing well, and then if you use this, you find out you're not doing as well as you hope.
Yeah, you get a real view of what's going on.
It gives you discipline, not discipline, accountability to yourself, and accountability especially if you let someone else see the app.
Well, and it gives you truth.
Right.
It's so easy to deceive ourselves.
Right. Now that's what it's designed for, is to break bad habits. But I have found that it works excellent the other way around to develop good habits. Because, like, for instance, well, let me give you the example of why I first started using it. I love the Lord. I love Bible study. And I study my Bible. I spend some quiet time with the Lord every single day. And then I got the Days Since app and started putting it in there every time that I did. You know what I discovered? I don't do a quiet time every single day. I was only averaging maybe twice a week. I had no idea. I knew I missed a day occasionally, but I thought I was much more consistent than that. I found out, I was only doing it twice a week. Well, using the accountability of that app, and every time I spend time in the Word with the Lord, I put it in there. Now, well, I generally don't plan on doing it on Sunday because I'm in church. So that's 6 days a week I want to do it. So now I've gone from 2 days a week to more like 5 days a week. And it has really improved my walk with the Lord. It has really improved my peace. It's really improved my consistency. So I am using that app that's designed to help you break bad habits. I'm using it to help myself create and improve good habits. So if you like I said at the beginning, if you have a New Year's resolution that you want to start working out 3 times a week, or you want to write in your diary, or what are some other things that...
Oh, goodness. Drink a good smoothie.
You can use this app to keep yourself accountable, to help develop good habits.
Things that you want to establish. You choose it, and to help you find out, am I really making this a habit or not? Yeah. We still have to make the choices to do things, but this helps us know whether we're doing as well as we thought, or whether we need to be more aware.
Right. It'll also help you if you've got any bad habits you want to quit, like eating chocolate.
Yeah.
You can register it there. You can look in there and see, it's been 87 days since the last time I ate chocolate. Of course, if you're trying to break a bad habit, you want that number as high as possible.
Right.
If you're trying to develop a good habit, you want that number as low as possible.
Yeah.
Every time you go onto the app, you want to see the last time I did this was 1 day ago.
Yeah.
If you're trying to develop a good habit.
Well, to get a good habit, you want to have a bowling score. A golf score. A good habit should be a golf score. Bad habit should be a bowling score.
Right.
So silly.
The app is called Days Since. If you just go to the App Store or wherever you get your apps, just type in Days Since, do a search for that. I just recently looked at that again, and I saw that there were also several other apps that are very similar. I don't know anything about them. Days Since is the only one that I have used, and I do recommend it. Now, we're not an affiliate. We're not going to get any money for you if you do that. So use whatever app you find the easiest for you. Just use some kind of an accountability app to help you improve your discipline.
And it's a good idea to have somebody in your life that you kind of share it with, if you want. That way you can rejoice in the victories, and you can have somebody's encouragement if it's a struggle.
Right. Now, Days Since does have a paid thing that you can do, but they also have the free one. I just use the free one. They're always asking me to upgrade, and it's not much. It's like $10 a year or something, and I don't even know what the upgrade provides. I just use the free one, and it works fine. So if you want to look at it and upgrade, that's up to you. But anyway, discipline. It can make a huge, huge difference in your life. And the Days Since app is a tool that I have found that has greatly increased my ability to improve my discipline.
I can remember when I would read the scripture where it talks about the fruit of the Spirit. Excuse me a second. I'm doing better, but I'm not 100%, but I'm better. But anyway, the scripture talking about the fruit of the Spirit, which is what happens in our life when the presence of God through the Holy Spirit is indwelling us. And it talks about love, joy, peace, patience, long-suffering, gentleness, kindness. I mean, there's a bunch of them, and I probably should be ready just to read it right out of the Word. But we know it's the fruit of the Spirit. And one of the ones listed there is self-control or self-discipline. And I remember, for years, I'd read all these and I'd get to that one and I'd feel nothing but guilt. I'd be like, oh man, that's supposed to be a fruit of the Spirit, but I don't understand how that's really going to work the way I think it should in my life. But we have to realize that all of the goodness that comes into our life through all the more fun fruit of the Spirit, joy and peace and patience. Patience is sometimes a challenge, but all the goodness that comes into our life through the presence of God, through the Holy Spirit, through these fruit of Him just being with us, is also intended for us through the fruit of self-discipline. And I have learned now to see that as a good guy, that is intended to bring us all the benefits that God knows it would bring into our life, and it's a good thing. God disciplines those that He loves, and we get so freaked out about the idea of somebody telling us what to do that we don't realize that when you have someone who's wise that gives you guidance and you put wise principles at work in your life, just like with Pepper, our dog, being trained, there's good results from that. I shared something just recently with Thanksgiving, how that when we keep the things in our life within God's boundaries, wonderful things happen. And we just have to realize that the more we're open to putting discipline into our life, the more unexpected wonderful things that we can find. So, yeah. I'm done.
So I hope you have found some kernel of wisdom in this.
Yeah.
This is something that we kind of have known sort of in the back of our minds. You know that if you don't work towards a goal, you're not going to accomplish it, obviously. But it's something for me, since I was introduced to the Days Since app, that has really become crystallized in my mind of what discipline is and the benefits of it, and how your life can just fall apart without it. So as I'm learning it, I thought I would impart some of that wisdom to you, and I hope that you find some help in that. We
are certainly not setting ourselves up as like the pinnacles of perfect discipline in all areas of our life.
We're like me, spending time in the Word every single day, twice a week.
We're on the journey too of trying to be obedient and to place the things in our life that are going to lead to the best results, and to learn to appreciate the benefits of things like budgeting and of discipline, and of seeing the benefits that can come from it. So it's when God tells us what to do, He's smart and He's a good guy, and He knows. Just like Pepper had to trust us that she would be more free if she just listened when it was important. Kept her from running out in front of cars. Oh goodness, that just reminded me one of the most difficult things that I've ever had happen in my life was because of a lack of discipline. I was calmly driving down pretty slowly down the road right outside of our house, and a friend was out there with her dog on one of those leashes that pulls. You can be long or it can be locked, and she had the dog right there with her, and I said hi to him. I kind of waved, and I was slowly driving past, and he suddenly darted out, and the leash wasn't locked, and so he pulled it like out at its length, and she's yelling at him to come and to stop, and he absolutely ran right underneath my tires. It's the only time in my life I have ever hit a dog, and she died. It was terrible. And I didn't really think about that till I said this just now, but if the dog had listened, it would have saved her life. The lady was super nice about it. She knew that it was not my fault, but Oh, it was terrible. It was awful, and I just hated that my car had, had hit her dog. But I was just thinking about that when I said, Pepper would listen, and so it kept her from running out into traffic and things like that. So, wow. I didn't mean to end on a heavy note, but obedience and discipline would have saved that little cute dog's life. I don't know whether we'll keep this in the video or not. It took me a while to get over that.
So anyway, like I said, I hope that was helpful. I hope you've learned something from this.
We've sure had a lot to learn.
Yeah. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Live simple.
Live free. You be blessed.
All right. We love you guys. You'll see us again soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.